How is everybody doing? It's Mikey Wine here. You guys know me as Gundam Morning Works, and we're live again. This is part 26 and the final chapter for the current project of the Bandai M61A5 main battle tank, Zaku diorama, and yeah, we're done. So the first part of this is just going to be looking at all the finishing touches. And I got Nigel, who said he may not make the show because he's getting alignment done on the Caldina. That's a Toyota they don't sell in the United States. And Julius is here. How you doing, Julius? Good evening to you. Good evening, everyone, he says. And yeah, so wasn't sure when I first created the video whether I was going to be done with the figures or not. So I was kind of in the middle of painting them, but I wanted to do so. I just labeled it as finishing touches because I had a couple little detail things to work out and sort out, but it's all done. So there's not going to be any more that we have to do to it tonight. And I'll get down here and show everybody, at least Julius anyway, the only one at this point watching. So we're going to go down just to the broad view here. We can see the whole thing. All the figures are placed. These two on the tank are glued in place. This one here is on a pin, which is coming out of his left foot. And it goes down into the foam, so I can take him off if I need to and move him around. I had some photo etch if I need to, travel with him or whatever. I can take it apart. It's easily. The tank is also not glued to the base, so that can come off and come apart and do all that. Of course, I can take the turret off, so I can put the battery in there to turn the lights on if we want to see the fiber optic. So, but I had two small pieces of photo etch that I had to attach to these two figures, the one on the ground and the commander here, for their little microphones that come off of their headgear. There was a little tiny piece of photo etch for that little boom mic that comes off. This guy in the back does not have anything on his head at all. He's just got an eye patch going on. He's wearing the beret, sporting the beret, just kind of kicking it back into stowage. I thought about maybe trying to put some stuff in stowage. I didn't have a lot left of that original 1/35th scale stowage set from the Abrams tank that would fit, because the basket on this is so narrow. A lot of the things I had were, canvas, like tents or rolls and stuff like that. They were just too big to fit back there. So looks like we're just going to be leaving that alone the way it is. The figures look too small compared to the tank and the Zaku. Well, they are the same scale. So I'll show them a little bit closer here if you want to see. They look too small. Well, is that just because you're too far away? Let's take it a little bit closer here. So what I will do is I'll just take the turret off. I also put some brass shell casings. You can see those. Those are embedded. Not too small, just look small. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they just look small because everything's so much bigger than them, right? The Zaku's 60 foot tall. So I'm just going to pull the turret off here, and that way I can angle it up and get it a little bit closer. There we go. So you can see the figures with a little more detail. So that guy in the back. What's up, Nick? Nick just popped in. How you doing, Nick? I'm just showing off the figures here. The two that are at least on the tank still. And you can see a lot of that dirt that I had put on there still. It looks like darker brown when you get further away, but as you get closer, you can see the redness or the yellowishness of it. So I think the figures came out really good. You can see on the commander here, you can see that little boom microphone. That was a piece of photo etch that I had to. Looks great. Thanks, thanks, Julius. That was a little piece of photo etch that I had to put on to him as well. And then I'll lift this one up separate here because, like I said, this one's just in on his foot's on a rather large pin. And that way it goes down into the foam deep enough and holds him in place. So I'll bring him up here so we can focus on him. He also has a microphone. You can see that hanging off the side of his helmet there. I think these overall came out really well. I like using that shading. Slipping in my fingers here. I like using that shading medium that the Citadel provides. It works really well. It's just for doing tonal shading on looks like the little wrinkles in the clothing and stuff like that. So this will go down. I got this little hole here that I drilled. It has to go at just the right angle, and then you can also see a couple little footprints from where he was walking up to it. But this is if I go back to just this view here, we can see the whole thing. Get my fingers underneath it here. So I'll hold on to the tank here as I bring it up. Zaku head a little bit, where you can see that with those shell casings. Even add a little more dust to the tracks, trying to kind of blend the two. What's up, Giovanni? Trying to blend the base and the models basically to make them fit in the environment a little bit. So I added a little more dust to the wheels and the tracks that would have been kicked up from running in this desert environment. But yeah, this is the whole thing. So this is what it's going to look like. I'm not going to. I did buy a black round, almost like a clock blank. I was going to secure this to it, but I think it's fine the way it is. It was really just adding some stability to it. But this stuff is dense enough that it doesn't flex. It's really doesn't need to be mounted to it. Just going to make it that much heavier, a little more bulky. So that is the completed project. You guys have any questions that are in the chat right now? Anybody want to see something up close again or talk about something in particular? Let me know in the chat and I will answer those questions as best I can. Pretty happy with it. I'm going back here. Let's see if I can bring up my photos here and see exactly just how long I've been working on this. Actually, I need to go. No. Let's see. I'll go this way. There we go. Then I can go back to see when I exactly started this whole thing. And originally, it was just going to be just the tank. I was going to make a simple base or something like that. Have just the tank in the dirt or something, and then somebody brought up the Zaku head, and I forgot I had the Rambaral set, so it turned into that extended the project, made it a little like. So I've been doing this since February 19. It looks like was the first photos that I took of this project. So, gosh, that's almost February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Yeah. 8 months. That's a long project. Finish your 3 Space Marines, huh? Cool. Space Marines received the right camo stencil. So I'm pausing my progress on the MG Zeta 2.0 to continue the HD. This holder nice. Sounds like you got a lot of projects going on. I try to stick to one at a time, but it doesn't always work out that way. So anyway, yeah, we're doing this since February 19 was the first set of photos I took, and that's when I was just basically snapping the tank together. And that's figures look awesome, spot on. Thanks, Julius, appreciate that. So with this project wrapping up, at first I've also got to find a place to store this thing. It's a rather large base. If I'm looking at this right. Let's see. I can't even see my measurements anymore on this cutting mat. It's all worn off or spilled stuff on it and wiped off all the white markings on it. Just trying to figure out how big around. I think it's about 14-inch round. So it's not going to fit inside of one of my detolfs. I'm going to have to either put it on top or find another shelf or something around here. I'll have to figure that out. That remains to be. You don't even want to look when you start at the fault. Yeah, this was a long one. Like I said, originally it was intended just to do the tank and the figures that came with it, and kind of evolved into this with the Zaku head from the Rama Rao set. Same scale, 135 scale. Did all the damage, had to split up the cables, drill everything out, damage the hell out of it, make it look like it was burned from the inside out. And I think what I'll do just one last time is I'm going to lift the tank off just so I can bring up this quite a bit closer to, that way I can tilt it and you guys can see the Zaku head, as close as it can get. I think it came out really well. I like the damage, and you get the right angle. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see because I'm shading it behind me, but there is actually a hole going all the way through. December 1st, so last year. Put it on the top of your wife's dresser. Yeah, she'll love it. Yeah, she might like the way it looks, but she's not going to want it on top of her dresser. You have room in your shelf. Of course you do, Giovanni. Everybody's suddenly volunteering for places to store my completed project here. Yeah, I'll have to figure something out. And the angle of the commander here too, I had kind of decided I was going to have him. I tried to turn him more, but the seat inside won't allow his feet get in the way, so I can only have him turn so far to the left. So I had to kind of just rotate the turret around and makes it look like he's more in line of sight to look at the Zaku head on the ground. She'll love it, huh? Yeah. Somehow I don't think she will. Especially even if I ask her first, I doubt she's going to want that on there. But so now, is there anything else you guys want to see on this? Do you want to see something a little closer again, or let me know before I move it away, because this is done, I get to start the next project. And if you were here last week, we talked about it briefly, and it's a commission project. It's a Macross project, and we'll get started on that. I've already got all the runners hanging on the wall in front of me. I've noticed too, one of the things that a lot of these Valkyrie kits come with is multiple. You have runners that have the same parts on them based on what kit you're building. Like they'll have the body of the Valkyrie, but then because this is a VF1D, they have the other body that's a little bit longer, a little bit bigger, a little bit different design to accommodate the dual cockpit. The two-seater cockpit has to be a little bit longer. So there's actually two full cockpits in this. I'm looking at the runs right now. Yeah, there's even the single seat cockpit as well as the double seat. So then you've also got the nose cone for the single seater and then the nose cone for the dual seat. So you actually get quite a few extra parts. It's just like they didn't, rather than print new runners, they just print the same ones, and there's a lot of parts you're not going to end up using. So anyway, one last time here, if you guys want anything you want to see a little bit closer, or I can just bring it back later on, but I'm going to move this away and we'll get started on the next thing. So let me know one last time, give you guys another minute, and then we'll start the next project. And also, I found out too, our IPMS event this year is going to be in Monroe, which is 15 minutes away from my house. It's awesome. It used to be in Renton. It used to take almost an hour to get there. But now I can just drive down the road and be there. It's going to be at the fairgrounds in Monroe. Thanks, Giovanni. I appreciate that. He says looks awesome. So yeah, it's gonna be nice to be able to go. And then it's also in June instead of April, which happens to be. I was looking at the dates, and my schedule doesn't change again like it did the last couple weeks. I would have had to work it, and always the problem was in April it was before my anniversary, so I had no PTO time to use to go to the show. That's why I ended up missing it last year, or this year, I should say. But this year it's in June, which will be after my anniversary, so I'll have the extra PTO and be able to request that day off. So, okay, I'm going to take this aside and give me just 1 second. I'm going to place it over here out of the way. Not in its permanent location, just a location for now. And we'll bring up, let's go down to the close up here. And with that, here's the next project. This is for none other than Giovanni himself. I'm going to have a discussion with you again, Giovanni, because I'd forgotten some of the particulars about how you wanted this. I think you said you wanted some kind of a base too with it rather than the one that comes with the kit, which is fine. I just want to go over those details before I finish it, but it's not going to stop me from building. Anyway, nice little decal sheet, actually quite large decal sheet. A lot of these will be duplicates. A lot of them won't be used, especially a lot of these numbers. Most likely not. I'm not sure if there are. Actually, there is numbers on the nose section, but I don't see any. I guess here's the 102. Those are the ones that are on there. So you can actually create your own number insignia if you wanted to, just by cutting these out individually. They're long strips of numbers. All these are connected by the carrier film, but you can actually trim, cut out whichever number. You can make whatever numbers you want, but instead I'll probably end up just using these. These are already pre-assembled, so to speak. So there's a lot of these that will be used. There's also the low visibility version of the Macross, the kite, which we probably won't be using either. And I thought there was two different. I keep forgetting this is a two-seater because I haven't built a two-seater in a while. So there's actually two decals for the consoles in the front and the rear console for the rear seat. So, and some of these are for going around the window frame. I never use those decals. I'll always end up masking off the canopy and doing it that way. Now let me see. This canopy was separated on the runner when I got it, and I don't know if it did get a little scratched up. So it's going to take a little bit of polishing compound to get it right. And there's also a nice wicked seam line down the center, or a mold line, which is pretty common for any kind of aircraft kit. So that's going to take some work. I'm going to have to sand that use very, very light sandpaper. We're starting out with heavier grit and working down, just going higher and higher and higher on the numbers until finally it's crystal clear again. And then at the end, I'll end up using polishing compound, the Tamiya polishing compound, which is a paste. And I have three different compounds. I got a fine, a coarse, a medium, and then a fine. We'll do step those one at a time, and we should be able to eliminate that line altogether and any of those other little scratches that came in there. But that'll take a little bit of work. As mentioned last week, one of the cool parts about this is it actually comes with some resin figures for this, because there is a pilot figure in this kit, but it's not the Hikaru pilot from the original TV series. So this one here is let's see if I can get the glare to get off the bag there. So this is the original Hikaru pilot. So it's got the open face helmet. It's got his flight suit, not the normal Valkyrie pilot flight suit. And then in the back, or in the middle, we've got little Min-Mei there sitting in the seat. And then the third option is in her China doll suit or dress, can have that figure as well. A lot of people will pose the Valkyrie with the hand open and having the China doll standing in there, but we'll see. I have to go over that with Giovanni, see what he wants. I think he wanted the Minmay in the seat, so we'll have to discuss that as well. No big deals there. We've got a long way to go before we get there. I did double check all of the paint chart here. I have every single color on here. I knew I probably did. This is all Hasegawa models all use Mr. Color Hobby for Mr. Colors for their color palettes. So in the instructions, you'll have all the mixing ratios for whatever custom colors, if there is one. And as I said earlier about, let's flip this around so you can see, here's all the runners. All these gray areas are all parts that are not going to be used. And one of them is kind of funny because it's nearly the entire runner. The only bits are the consoles, a couple little pieces here, maybe something for landing gear. I'm not even sure looking at this, but the majority of this won't be used. The two gun pods here won't be used because there's actually another, I think there's a separate gun pod that goes on the arm rather than in the hand of Valkyrie. So I could actually build the gun pod if I wanted to and have it in his hand. That I'll have to figure out if Giovanni wants that. I'm not even sure if I can swap the hands out. If we can swap hands out, it might be worth. In fact, they show it here holding the gun pod. So if you can swap hands out, maybe we'll build it that way where he can pick and choose what he wants. When I did my Valkyrie, I ended up, let's see, what is Giovanni saying here? What's up, George? George just popped in. How you doing, my friend? When I did my Valkyrie, I ended up tearing one of the numbers. Oh, geez. So I had to be creative with those extra numbers. True. Yeah, I've had to do that too. You sometimes get a little aggressive with the mark softener or something like that, and then just destroys the decal. And you're like, well, now what am I going to do? So, yeah, I've definitely had to do that. So, anyway, there's quite a few parts that won't be used. A lot of the extra stuff we'll save for other stuff. We might be able to do some kind of a build or some kind of a kit bash with the extra parts from the Valk here. So, George, you missed the tank. Do you want me to bring it back up and show you? I have no problem doing that. I just literally grabbed this and started to talk about it. I knew the first step of the construction was going to be the cockpit. Tonight, I won't be doing over that because a lot of these parts have to be painted first. I can probably assemble a little bit of it, but like the seats and everything, all that stuff's going to be painted. It's like any typical aircraft kit. You got to build the cockpit, paint everything, and then you'd love to see it. Okay, give me just a second here after I get done. We're talking about the cockpit here. I know it's kind of not on camera, but like any aircraft, you have to build the cockpit and then sandwich it between two pieces of the fuselage and then mask it all off while you do all the rest of the painting and everything. So I might assemble some of this stuff tonight, but we might just go on to the body portion of it, things that I can get away with building and not having to paint anything. But most of this is pretty straightforward as far as a Valkyrie build. They always have basically two halves that come together for the main body. You've got the wing gears that are meshed together. There's a couple little star gears in there that mesh all the wings together so the wings will fold in and out if need be for posability. You can see that here. Once they're assembled, they're inserted onto these fins there. Once you get all this together, there will be some painting that I have to do inside of this because there are some areas that you will be able to see in. And so I always like to darken those areas so you can't just see bare plastic in there if you look into those wing caps and stuff like that. So let me take this off. All right, and then we get to basically the backpack portion. and the legs. See, they even show you, like here on the legs, they even show you painting some of those areas inside, because when those halves come together, you're going to be able to see those areas through, by the feet and stuff, and you don't want to have like white plastic in there, or in this case, cream color. You want it to be dark gray or black, which is what they've got a really dark gray that they're using here. Another interesting thing I can see right off the bat is they have the fan assemblies in the front of the engines, where the engines would normally be. There's actually a fan there, so when the knee portion is added to or pressed onto this little hinge, you'll be able to see past it and see that fin. That's something I haven't seen before in a Valkyrie kit. In fact, let me just bring this up a little closer. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you can see right here that little round fan portion. Okay, and then once you get all these together, you can look through that little gap right there, and you can see that fan in there, that intake. So it's interesting that they're actually putting that piece in there. I kind of like it. All right, let me put this book aside real quick again, just for a minute, and we'll bring over the tank. Since George failed to show up on time tonight, we'll have to accommodate the old man. I'm only kidding. Just give me a second. All right, so back. Whoops, stuff is sticking. Almost picked up some stuff underneath it. All right, so let me go back to, this is a little bit too big for that. We'll go to this view again. So front facing, I think this will be the front of the kit when it's on display. Tank in the back. Let me pull the turret off here. I can show you the figures once. Some damn good engineering. Yeah, it is kind of interesting how they did that. But you need to see that, be able to, it's like the little details inside, things you don't expect to see in the joints like that. It's especially the knee portion of the legs, as the legs fold forward, because it's a Gerwalk, so the legs are kind of folded down when it's in that mode. But you can still see, I guess, through those gaps, you can see those fans, those intake fans. All right, so here we go. Here we are. Last week I had added some shell casings from last week. You can see the shell casings laying around. There's also a little more dust, and the figures are painted. I'll take off the turret here so you can see the figures up close. As we get up here, oops, you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to go to the close-up here so we can get a little bit closer view. There we go. Come on, focus. I got this guy in the back. And most of the body, the faces were airbrushed with the initial flesh color. The bodies of the figures were airbrushed with two colors. I think it was number 19 for the pants, and it's more of like a sandy brown. And then their tops were painted with, I think, 44, which is a tan color. So almost the same, just lighter shades of brown. That's going based off what I could see. Hey, Nick? Yeah, I could see what, based off what was in the booklet. I tried to replicate what those as best possible. So the last figure here, let me pop this. Also, you can see the antennas. This was done with a piece of magnet wire. This was a stretched sprue that I used a lighter, heated it up, stretched it out. The last figure, and he's on a long pin here. So here you go. You can see the little boom mic hanging off his helmet there in front of his face. That was a piece of photo etch that came with the kit. So I had to glue that on and paint that by hand, but I think they came out good. I like using that shading medium, like I was talking about with the Citadel colors on the lacquer paints. It really does a wonderful job. Now this guy, because he's on a long pin, I've got to get it. I've got a little hole that I drilled in the sand. Come on, there it goes. I'm trying to do this without my glasses on, so I put him right about there, and then I can turn him in any way I need to make him fit the location where he goes. Figures look real good too. Thank you, sir. So one of the last things I'll do is I'll lift the tank off again so I can bring up the base here, and I've got some little tufts, little weeds. I can bring this up. You can see what everything looks like up close. And I got the exit wounds on this side, the damage inside. So Dwayne, how you doing? Thank you, sir. Everything came together nicely. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I just need to figure out where I'm going to store the damn thing. It's such a large base. I don't know where I'm going to keep it. It won't fit inside of a detail. I could easily sacrifice some old kits and clear a shelf off, but I'm going to have to find another place to put it that it won't get damaged. So basically, you got the tracks here. The tank sits right here. This is this side back here is to look like, this is where it rolls on and stops right here. So you'll see this coming out of the back. I got to flip this around carefully. There were some challenges with this old kit because it was so old. The plastic was pretty brittle, especially on the wheels. I had several of them actually break after having them on there for a bit, and then just handling the kit. They were so kind of fragile. The pins just broke, and I had to re-glue them, repin everything. So once I get the tank on there, I had to buy the Stockholm 2025 for my Kia for some of the bigger stuff, huh? Yeah, nice. I don't have any place to put that kind of thing, though, unfortunately. Hi, George and Nick. Dwayne says hi. So if I go back to just the down look here, so you can kind of see how the kit will be displayed. The commander here is facing the Zaku. This guy's facing the Zaku. He's just kind of chilling in the back of the basket. These two guys are glued in place. This third figure, is like you saw, was on a pin, a long pin, and I can make sure I got the right trajectory there, and it makes it easy to place them. I could glue them in place, but it's there's no real need for it. In case I need to travel with it, I can take it apart without him sticking up there and getting broken or knocked over or something. So during that process, but yeah, that's it. I'm not going to do anything else with the base. I was going to mount it to that 14-inch round, but then it just also kind of created a rough edge between the two layers, and I didn't have any way of really cleaning that up. So I just figured, I'll just leave it on this. It's foam, it's painted. The foam definitely didn't like the paint that I used, because it was like a primer and paint, flat black, and it was obviously probably a lacquer base, because it kind of attacked the foam a little bit in some places around the edge anyway. The raw edge, the top surface was pretty smooth and rather flat and sealed almost, that it didn't really affect that. It was only on the rough edges that it kind of, in some places you could see it like it was just bubbling away a little bit as I painted it on there. So yeah, I'll place the tank here like that, and this is what it'll look like. And I think on display, this will be the front, like I said a few minutes ago. So the viewing angle will be from here. But Nigel mentioned that I should probably, and it was a great idea, said I should probably dust up the tracks a little bit more to make it look like it should be in this dusty environment. So I did add some more dust to the wheels and tracks on the tank. And I also dusted up the feet of the guys, the guy on the ground and this guy up in the basket here. But yeah, that's it. So now we're going to get started on the Valkyrie. And yes, George, a couple people have already volunteered their shelves for me to store this at. So they beat you to it. All right. Okie dokie. So we're going to bring back over the instruction booklet here. This is going to be a little bit interesting because there are so many runners that aren't used, pieces that aren't used. So I'll have to make sure I'm pulling from the right runner. Fortunately, they're labeled really well. Okay, so if anybody doesn't know what this is supposed to be or what it's supposed to look like when it's done, this is the box art. So we've got the two-seater VF1D. I mentioned earlier the resin figures that it comes with. It has the TV version of Rick or Hikaru Hichijo in his own little flight suit from the original TV series. It also has a Minmay figure for her sitting in the second seat and a China doll version too. In fact, if you look at the picture here, let me go a little closer. Let me bring it close up. This is the version of the flight suit here that you'll see, or that resin figure comes in, this one right here. And then it's got her. That's the figure that'll be in the second seat, if that's the way Giovanni wants it. So, but yeah, fully assembled. This is what it'll look like. But I am going to, I believe we discussed a different base for this. Here's a good view of the cockpit with both figures in, and got Minmay back there screaming her head off. And then there's Hikaru in the front seat. And then the other version is to have her standing on the hand there. There's her in her China doll suit. George says, I have limited room for my own stuff, let alone others, right? Yeah, I don't even have room to put another, get another cabinet. I've got wall-to-wall shelves in here to hold all the supplies and stuff. And I got a pretty good size DVD collection on one shelf, and then the rest is just really just supplies. Every other section or every other wall is stuffed with. I think I can show everybody. Every other wall is stuffed with cabinets. I'm going to go up here a little bit. Let me turn on the. I'll turn on my sign back there. There we go. That's my logo on the wall. So let me turn the camera here to. See, is that the right way? Yeah. It's going to be kind of odd because of the way the camera's mounted, but you can see just to the right of my television there is 3 detolfs. And you got the big Gerwak on top. What I might do is take that. What you see to the left of the Gerwak there is the base for the original Valkyrie launch diorama that I built in 2015. That's hard to believe that's 10 years old. So that's really not being used. It's kind of just taking up space for lack of a better place to store it. So what I'll probably do is take that off the top and store the tank up there. Yes, I will have to keep it dusted, but Dinah. Oh, Ultraman. I was like, what are you saying, Dinah? Okay, yeah, Ultraman popped in. How you doing, Ultraman? How's it going, buddy? So you got three 3D Dolphs there. And then on top of the third one there on the right there, you can see my third place GBWC in 2013. If we continue on around, I'm not sure we're going to be able to see it. Nah, it's in the other corner. I've got one more detail, but it's to the right. You can't see it. It's behind the or to the right of the closet doors. If I go this direction, you can kind of just barely see the closet doors in the corner there next to my dad's hat hanging on the wall. That's the closet of this bedroom that's filled with wall-to-wall kits. But yeah, so that's that. Enough of that. Enough of showboating. Let's get back to work. So we're going to go down to. Now we'll go close up here. So we briefly talked about the decal sheet. Another nice decal sheet. Hasegawa always has really good decal sheets. Majority of these will not be used. I do like, however, that a lot of these those hot air thruster decals are there. They make it nice and easy rather than painting some of them. It's a lot easier just to put a decal on them. And so I will be utilizing those. But again, Giovanni and I need to discuss the details of it just to make sure I'm clear on what he wants. But from what I can remember, straight build, no fiber, no lighting, no weathering. I think if I do anything, it might be a little bit of pre-shading, but that will be it. And then the colors will be strictly off the color palette here from Hasegawa. And like I said, I've got all the paints. I've got every single color that they require. And I've also got the mixing jars because a few of these will have to be mixed. I know like the orange color and maybe even the tan color that the kit is supposed to be painted. The majority of those colors will have to be mixed together. So I will make custom pots with the right percentages in there. So we're going to skip over this. I'm not going to worry. I might cut out these pieces and see, but I do have to paint a lot of this stuff first before I should even put the seats in. Everything's got to be painted first. So typically I won't do the cockpit assembly tonight. I will have to do that on a day that I can hit the airbrush and do all that before. So all right, let's cut some runner. How's everybody doing? Have I talked enough? Everybody's doing good? I hope so. Because I am friggin' exhausted. It has been a rough couple of weeks with all of the new teams going on and just the type of work I had. I had a couple of cars, 2 in a row, that I had to do major engine reseals on, and it just kicked my butt. And I'm just getting too old to do a lot of that heavy line that much in a row. I can handle 1 or 2, separated throughout the week or something like that. But doing 2 in a row, yeah, it just whooped my butt. So I did mention earlier this kit comes with a lot of extra parts because the especially like the body sections like these, they're identical really between the trainer, the VF1D, or another version of Valkyrie will have the same body. The only main difference is the cockpit is a little bit longer because it has 2 seats. So a lot of these runners will have duplicate parts that won't be used. So might be good later on for some kind of a kit bash or something like that. We'll see. Anybody got any questions? Let me know in the chat. Or if you want, just let me know what you're building. If you are building anything, if you're just watching me, I will go ahead and cut some of these parts out for the cockpit. I might try to kind of piece them together a little bit so they can, for visually see, you can kind of see what's going on, but won't be gluing anything in place. And another thing about Hasegawa kits is they're really not a snap fit like a Bandai is. Most of their stuff is all all going to be glue. It's just the way they design their runners. And this has two screens because you got two seats. So you have a front seat and a back seat. I'm looking at some of these are coming off of this runner because this is all the stuff for the rear seat, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Boy ever. And I forgot, it's been a while since I built a Valkyrie in this scale. I'm used to the 148 stuff. It is pretty small. It takes some extra care, a little bit of hand painting. B15, yeah. It looks like everything on this runner is all for the back seat, or pretty much everything for the two-seat version. All the seating, the seat parts are for the rear seat. Then I'll have another section, another runner that has all the stuff for the front seat. What's what Julia's saying? Age is all in your head, right, George? Yeah. Yeah, right. It is. I like to think, in fact, I forget sometimes how old I actually am when I'm working with some of these younger kids because I'll be talking to them like I'm their age, not realizing I'm old enough to be their dad. It's not easy at times. Okay, I don't think I need much else. I don't know. Oh, that's the head. Okay, I was wondering what this part was here. Because again, this is only a Gerwalk version, so the head is going to be tucked away under the cockpit of the fuselage there. So I got a lot of parts here for the rear seat. I was rewatching Child of Mecha streams and saw your name and heard your comments a lot. Glad to see you migrate over to Gundam Morning Works. Yeah, well, I used to be every single week when we used to do Mechanism was the show that Tim put on, and I was on there almost all the time when we were doing that show. And it was basically just a bunch of guys, at least 10 people in a room like this, which I can have guests on as well. I just have only done it once with Mr. Bro Builder a few weeks back. But it is a little bit difficult to moderate that kind of a show at the same time while you're trying to build. It's easier just to, if you're going to be the host, is just to host it and not try to build, because it is kind of difficult to keep looking back. Like I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat, and also if when you have guests in the room, then you're also listening to somebody else's conversation in the room. So it's a unique set of challenges to do it. Make it. See you guys later. Manage democracy calls. Okay, what does that mean? See you later, Dwayne. Julie, it's good to see some familiar names. Yep. What do we got here? Good night, Dwayne. Everybody says see you later, Dwayne. It was one of those faithful followers. Yep. Isn't Chalamek supposed to go back to making streams? Yes. He has, at least he says, he's kind of hinted at that. He's been building his new studio for quite some time. And I think he's close to finishing that if he's not done already. He's done some amazing DIY type of work, even more so than stuff that I myself could even think of, even consider trying to do. He's done so much to make that custom city. I mean, all I did was really put floors in. I didn't even really paint this room when we bought the house. It was, the color was fine with me, and I just left it. I didn't even bother. But one would hope that Tim will eventually return. He took a long hiatus years ago. And it was mostly, I believe, it was from his career. It was there was a lot of stuff going on in the job. It was very difficult to do the live stream, do the build, do everything because of his job was just occupying so much of his time. But I think a few years back there was some life-changing stuff going on in this stuff, so it just took priority. His family, his daughter, took priority over this kind of stuff. So, but yeah, we will definitely want Tim back. We hope that anytime now he'll return and we can get back to doing what we love to do with him anyway. I mean, I have fun with most everybody in here. In fact, pretty much everybody that I've never had an issue with. Like, I get along with most people, but I think it would be fun to get the band back together, so to speak. So there is supposed to be a pin on the bottom of it. I almost cut that piece off, but that is a pin for that rear console to plug in to the floor. And this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the, see, I could probably glue stuff like this together. This is the console pieces that go kind of like that. So the whole rear console. Oops, I had it backwards. I'm going to say that didn't fit right, but there's actual keyed pieces there that will line it up. So yeah, that will go just like that. So I'll do a little bit of gluing stuff that I can, and knowing stuff that I know is going to be the same color. I can probably glue those pieces together and then just wait for final assembly once I get the rest of the colors down. And then, of course, just like any other cockpit, you've got to install that, put the two halves of the fuselage together, mask everything off so you don't overspray from the rest of the painting and sanding and everything else you got to do to prep for that. So now I've got all these pieces cut out for the rear seat. I need to get the other runner here. This is on these are all A runner. Yeah, so the A runner is, I usually put these in alphabetical order on my wall. I tried to, but because of all the multiple, there it is, because of all the multiple runners, it was hard to get everything right. That hook's going to fall. Okay, so now I got this one here, I got to cut off the rest of the pieces that go for the front seat. I should probably pay close attention here. These front and rear seats almost look identical, but I don't want to confuse the two in case they are minor differences. So I'm going to separate these parts just so I don't get them mixed up when I go to glue them together. Career and personal stuff, if memory serves. Yep, that's what I was saying. All right, so we need A11. That was this one here. Yeah, this is all the front seat stuff. And then I get the front console. And again, here's the single seat cockpit, but we're not going to be using that. Then we've got 13. Does that go behind the seat? No, it does not. See, this would normally go behind the front seat, but we're not going to use that. I was going to cut it out just from memory of seeing it and knowing what it looks like, but one and three. Oh, wait, that was the, yeah, okay. A24. Okay, now we've got the seat sides here. It's almost a little bit confusing because of the dual seats. I've got to, Yeah, they are different. I don't think they're almost the same. Actually, it might be. Let me flip this over and see. One would think they'd be the same size, but they're no. I can see the pilot seat's a little bit longer in the front. So A2, okay, that's the seat bottom. Yeah, the seat bottom is definitely longer in the front seat. Well, at least that's a distinctive difference. So if I did mix these parts up, at least I would know which one goes in front and back. So I think that's it as far as that. So let me put this back on the wall. And we'll clean all these up. Now with this kind of build, because there's going to be several stages of paint and stuff where I'm going to have to be doing just paint. So there may be the off week where when we do the broadcast, it will be something else, just a side project or something, just to kill the time while we're getting past the paint stage. I try to make sure that if I do have a paint stage, I try to get some of the stuff done so I can at least do some assembling for the next broadcast without, having to switch up projects. But Valkyries are like that, though. There's days where you can just build all the time, and then it's just everything's got to stop, and it's just painting everything. Not to take away from the work. Let's see what we got here. Not to take away from the work Tim did, but it's fascinating to see how much the scale model community landscape has changed since he was last on. Yeah, that's true. Well, it was COVID and everything else, I think, right? That kind of changed everything. Because a lot of people more people were staying home at that time, and so they needed something to do. So scale modeling kind of took off again, and so did alcohol sales. Right? So I've got this really crappy little nub right between the two rear view mirrors here. I'm going to try to very carefully trim this out so I can sand it down. Whew, there we go. It's a pretty big nub too, but it was like, you have the center console and you got two mirrors so the pilot can see behind him. Well, it was right between those mirrors. I don't know why they designed the runner that way, but that was... Fuzzy made it. Nigel, how you doing, bud? I had confidence in you. I knew you would. I'm going to have to bring the tank back out again, aren't I? See, George showed up a little bit late, too. And I brought the tank back out for him, but I hadn't started cutting parts off the runner yet. So I suppose you're going to want me to bring the tank out so you can see the finished product. I will glue some of these parts together because all this stuff is... You can start pulling some of these colors out too and kind of give you an idea. I'm very used to these because the Valkyries are pretty much, the interiors are almost identical. They're always painted somewhat the same. So everything's number 13, which is like a kind of a medium gray. It's not super dark, but not light. So I will glue some of these parts together that I know are going to be the same color. I can see if it's like this, the back panel that has the air, the climate controls and or the vents for the climate control in the back. I know that all those are the same color. The consoles are going to be black though, and the seats. Some of the seat portions are the same color gray, and some are not. So it's like the sides are the same color. The seat itself is 21, which is like a, yeah, it's actually 21 is this color here. It's a middle stone, which is the seat bottom. So it's kind of like a leather seat bottom. So Nigel's in the seat. Good to see you, man. How'd your alignment go? For the car, I mean. Had to get the old alignment. And, you know, it's one of those things. You gotta have it done every now and then. I can say my car has not had one. I've been pretty fortunate, but it probably could use one. I noticed the, you know, normal wear and tear. The steering wheel's not perfectly on center like it was when it was new, but it's got 130,000 miles on it, 105 or something like that. Or no, is it one almost 100? It was 110, almost 115 maybe. I can't remember. Somewhere around there. All right, so I'm going to put that in there just to secure these two pieces. I can prime the whole thing as one piece. This also even has a, you know, the front landing gear bay, but obviously we're not going to be putting landing gear in there. This is going to be in Gerwalk form, so none of those will be used, but that doesn't mean this piece cannot be molded like you would normally see it. In fact, I'm missing something here. Oh, maybe not. The front console just has, oh, okay, I know why. So the front console has this control panel that goes on. Let's see if I can show this without gluing it, because this has to be painted black. Okay, so if I hold this up, you can see, is it kind of hard to see? Okay, over here is that console. Behind it is, in front of it, I mean, is that void there. That's where the pilot's feet sit. But it's also where, when you put the two halves of the cockpit together, there's a kind of a dashboard that goes right in front of that. And that will be, it may be installed now, or it might, no, it's not. It's actually, I just see it now. It's part of the, you see this dark area here, this black area, right? And it's actually part of that, those two halves that come together. So it's very important to get the alignment right on that piece, because when you put those two halves of that kind of a clamshell together, those two fuselage pieces, you want to make sure that console is tucked up right next to it. It's got to fit into this little square tab here, and there's a couple little witness marks where it's supposed to be lined up. But if it's too far forward, there'll be a gap in between there. So it's, like I said, it's important. It's almost better to kind of push it back. And that way, you know, when you do bring those pieces together, you almost have to pull it forward just to get some tension on it. So when those two halves come together, there's no gap in between that console and the, and again, that's painted flat black. So there's going to be some masking involved, quite a bit of masking with this kit, I think it would seem. So what I will probably do, I don't know what I've done in the past, is I'm going to assemble most of the seat, which I can later go back, airbrush some of it, and do a little bit of hand painting on some of the other stuff. Your alignment is all effed up. My car is, oh, it was all messed up. Okay, good. It's now much better. Well, that's good. It's good to know it's better now than it was. I thought you were saying it was all messed up after you had it done. That would have been horrible. All right, so here's the seat top and the seat back. This is supposed to just, I think, yeah, does that not line up right? It's supposed to sit right on here. There's just this tiny little square tab where the seat back is supposed to sit. I guess that's how it goes. It kind of fits on there. I'm not sure I like it. It's almost not fitting properly. Let's see if I see a little flash here on the back here. I'm just cleaning it up. Also got a decent mold line on the side, which I'm going to get rid of. I'm going to be paying extra attention now. Extra attention to what I'm doing. Is that what you're talking about, Giovanni? That's an old bottle. Oh, you mean the... Yeah, Ultraman. I missed that. Yeah, that is an old bottle. Haven't used it much, but it's mostly just for the seats and stuff like this. But I have it. Yeah, I have old school bottles have those lids. I really despise the lids because you can't stack them. You can't do anything like that. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But I only have a few of those old bottles, and I've been trying to use them up. Like when I buy new ones, obviously they're the newer bottles. They don't require that stupid lid on them. But any chance I get, I'll swap that lid out with the newer version. Save that bottle. So it's okay. I'll try to do some assembly of this seat now. The cushions are easy. I mean, they're just. It's like I said. It's nothing. It's super easy to paint by hand. Really, it's such a small. At this scale, it's even smaller. So I will do a little bit of the assembly here. This back piece, the backrest, it does fit. Actually, it fits quite snug. It felt almost like it didn't want to press together, but so it's not going to take much to glue that now that it's on there. Just making sure it didn't get twisted. Okay, so get the seat back on the seat bottom, and now I've got to just pop the sides on. So the sides also have alignment tabs. Oops, I got the wrong one. So this side, yeah. Oh, what's my computer trying to do? No, go away. McAfee, get out of here. I got to get rid of McAfee. I don't know why I don't use that crap. Oh, let's see. I missed a couple of. Just a few days ago, I did an inventory of my paint and also had a few of those old bottles. Had to revive contents with thinner. Yeah, if you're lucky. Mr. Color actually, or Mr. Hobby, I should say, actually makes a rejuvenator, which is even better than just thinner. Thinner does work, especially leveling thinner if you've got it. And I have a surplus of that stuff. I can see from my shelf right now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bottles of the big bottles, I should say, of the leveling thinner here. And it wasn't because I needed all that much. It was just like anytime I would go to Hobby Town or one of those other, hobby stores, and if I saw a bottle, I just picked it up because at the time, when there was a lot of, especially with COVID and everything, and nothing was being shipped, and it was definitely questionable whether we were going to be able to get it. So it's like I just saw it and I just bought it. So I'm going to put a little dab of glue here on these. I'm going to hold these in place while I manipulate them. So this seat is kind of open in the back. It's interesting how it goes together. So it looks like this is supposed to be back. Okay, there we go. The seat back kind of sits on there funky, and I when I put it together, it seemed like it was right, but fortunately the glue was still wet enough. I was able to tilt it back and get it lined up. Now it's all perfect. So, because right now I'm focusing on clean builds only, and something my clean build don't come out that clean. That's true. I get it. You go in with good intentions, right? 172 is so small. I moved from 148 to 32nd. Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier about this kit. I was like, I'm so used to the 148 Valkyries. I haven't done a 172 in a long time, so at least it's not 1/100. It'd be even smaller. So now that I've got one seat, actually I need to clean this up. I squeezed a little bit of plastic goo out between the side and the back, but I didn't want to leave that. Okay, so I got the front seat assembled. Like I said, I will prime that as one piece and probably airbrush the sides because those are gray and some of the back, and then I'll just hand brush the other pieces. Giovanni was saying, yeah, because some of his clean bills don't come out that clean. It says, I don't know that you can. What? Oh, I didn't know that you can show me what it looks like. Oh, the Juvenator? Is that what you're talking about? Rejuvenator? Let me see if I've got some left. I know a friend of mine sold it to me. It was an open bottle, but he did sell it to me. Panic buying all the thinner. That's why you couldn't find any. It was years ago, man. In fact, I even sold some during COVID to two friends like Brian Denclaw and some of those other guys on the Mechanism stream because they were all running out, and I had some, so I sold it to them. Let me find that Rejuvenator. If I still have it, and where is it? Let me see. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try to find it. I know it comes in a. Let's see. That's on camera. We've got a lot of primer and a lot of glue. So let's see if I've got it in here. The empty glue bottles. Empty surfacer bottles. All right. Let me check one other spot over here. Where did I have it? Ah, there it is. I think. No, is that it? Mr. Color. Is this it? Replenishing. Yes, found it. Okay. So it's actually a decent sized bottle of it. I thought it was smaller than this. So this is called Replenishing Agent. And this is what it looks like. And for all intents and purposes, it might just be leveling thinner for all I know. But this works miracles. I had a bottle of paint that was so thick. I mean, it was nearly dry. Let's put it that way. And I put a little bit of this in there and I let it sit. And then I stirred it up. The next day, I let it sit. I opened it the next day, stirred it again, put a little bit more. And I kept adding just a little bit at a time. And it brought it back. If I remember right, where is that bottle of paint? Because we can check it right now and see. Oh, you know what? I think it was this one. Another color you're never going to use, right? So let me put this back up here. What the hell is going on? Oh, got new comments. Oh, geez, lots of comments. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to see them all. Replenisher to bring back a jar of Mr. Color, Gundam Color. Poured some in and let it sit for a few days. Yeah, exactly what I was talking about. And give it a good stir. Yeah, Julius was saying exactly what I just said. 172 has become your go-to for armor and some planes because of how space limitations. We've always preferred a smaller size. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, George, because I have a hard time just handling the tiny, tiny pieces sometimes. Oh my gosh, I missed a lot of comments here. Fuzzy says, talking about old paints, even new ones, always best to use a cocktail stick. Stir points properly. Well, I actually bought a little package of these guys, which is from Mr. Color. These are stir sticks. They're just like a wooden ball on the end. It's a little bit easier. I mean, I do have these. I bought these like metal, almost like a spatulas for sculpting blades, and they work good for stir sticks as well. So this was the bottle that I used. Now, as soon as I get through the comments here, I'm going to open this up and see what it looks like inside. Maybe we can do a demonstration. Use a stirrer to loosen the paint before I use the electric stirrer. Yeah, that's a great idea. I've seen pictures of it. Okay, cool. I'm glad. So let's see. This was a bottle of, and it's some kind of like weird. It's green pearl. It's a weird color. Something you never hardly ever use. So let's see if it's even alive. Hey, look at that. It still is. So this was almost completely solid. Now it's pretty thick. You can kind of see how thick it is, but it's still, yeah, it's definitely thick, but it's definitely still viable. As I stir this up, yeah, you can kind of see that pearl color, and it's a green pearl. Hardly ever use it. But yeah, now you could probably just get away with using a little bit of leveling thinner in here, and it would be ready to throw in there. But I'm just going to clean off this stir stick here. There we go. All right. So that is Mr. Hobby or Mr. Color Rejuvenator. And it does work. I think it's just like leveling thinner on steroids, something. It was a good sized bottle. I thought it was like half this size. I couldn't remember how big it was. I just had to find the label near my spray booth there. But it's it's good to go. All right, let's see if we can assemble this rear seat now. How are we doing? Got about another 15 minutes or so. A lot of talking this time. Let's see, who hasn't seen the tank? Maybe I should let me just assemble this rear seat. Yeah, there's not a whole lot there's like a little, the tab is so small. It's almost like it's better just to put a little bit of glue on it, because it won't stay on its own. That's what I was talking about with these Hasegawa kits. They're not press fit so much. They really do require glue. What's important as you're assembling parts like this seat, in order to make sure the sides are correct, you gotta, or the back is the right angle, you gotta like assemble the whole thing in one go, because if you let it dry, you may end up the wrong angle if you didn't put the sides on first. So this is what I'm going to do real quick here. I'm just going to throw this other side on, make sure the back is at the right angle. That one went together. Oops, spoke too soon. I said, oh, that one went together better, and then blam, I just pressed too hard and it all flew apart. Let's get this back together. I see. Thanks for... I've only seen pictures of it. Oh, no problem, buddy. Yeah, I've only used it that one time, but it definitely does the trick. Gosh darn it. All right, I'm going to have to put a tab of glue, just barely, just to kind of hold that in place, because it doesn't want to stay. Once I get the other side on here, then I can see. This is what I'm talking about, George. I don't know how you do this all damn day. It's just, there we go. Because the last thing I want to do is get my fingerprints in there, get a bunch of glue on my fingers or something, and then you pull your hand away and it's just like, oh God, it's everywhere. It's, So I'm just trying to get the back together at the right angle. So they look almost identical, but from what I could tell, Yeah, the front seat is just slightly longer in the bottom. The seat bottom looks like it's just slightly longer. So were you able to, Ultraman, were you able to find that to buy somewhere, like on Hobbylink Japan or Spray Gunner or something? Curious to know, because I haven't had to buy it. A friend of mine was relocating. He was he's actually might even be watching, but he was stationed. He's in the Navy, stationed in Japan at the time. Was moving to Colorado. I think he was selling some of his stuff just to try to cut down on the stuff he had to take with him. And actually, I might actually just glue this on too, because this. It has to sit on there, or I see where it goes. It goes right there. Well, not a lot of room for air. So he's trying to alleviate some of the stuff he had to take with him. And he ended up selling me a lot of, some bottles of paint and some other stuff. It's like a box of stuff, had various different things in it. And one of the bottles was that Rejuvenator. And I just happened to open that bottle one day, and I'm like, I wonder if this is going to work on this. And sure enough, it was amazing. Gosh, this thing, so tiny. My fingers are just too big. So this has to go, gosh, this is a wonky way this goes together. So that goes on there, and there's this big open, you can see that like triangle, because it just sits right on top. Just like that, I guess. Yeah, it just closes up that gap. So I'm not going to glue that on just yet. I don't know why that console's black. I guess so. The console's black, or the front of it's black, but the back is gray. But I have there's no tab to line up this rear piece. So I almost have to put them on as a unit. Just so because I don't know how far, like this piece is supposed to go on here and separate the front and rear consoles, but it doesn't give you an indication as to how far forward it has to sit. It has to sit somewhere like this, just barely overlapping this like triangle, open void there. Joys of building small scales. Okay. What I will do before I go here, actually, does anybody want to see that tank again? I got about 5-10 minutes left. I can move all this stuff aside, and we can, because who hasn't seen it yet? I know Nigel hasn't. Well, I've been sending him photos. He probably saw more than you guys did all week, because we've been talking all week. So, but I'll bring it back out for one last view here with some good high resolution close-ups. Get rid of the nuts, pull that back up. Put the decal sheet in there temporarily. All right. So let's go to the down look here. And I'll go grab. Take it one more time here. I know we've showed this a couple of times. Alrighty. So keep all those model parts separate. All right. Later, fellas. All right, past your bedtime. See you, Nick. What the heck? Where did I go? What did I miss? Gosh, I didn't know there was any new comments. Sorry. Going to Japan in December. Oh, wait. I missed way too much. Holy crap. What happened to all the... Yeah, Gunzai. What the heck? I missed all these, you guys. I apologize, because it didn't say I had any new comments on here. Let's see. Let me get back to Gaia Notes is made by GSI. Oh, okay. Gaia is made by GSI. Well, that makes sense because this stuff is amazing. Local hobby shop. Ultraman says I have to go to his local hobby shop to find some of that. He has not found it yet. But I'm watching on reply since it showed up earlier. Okay, cool. Pictures of the finished product. Yeah, I do have a few more whip pictures that I will put up, but I'm also going to try to see if this fits in my photo booth so I can take some decent photos of it. George says tiny fingers and 4.5 magnifiers. Yeah, I understand that for sure. Everybody's funny at that. Okay. I believe dangerous place for you. Yeah, a dangerous place for a lot of people. I'm getting down here. Sorry, guys. I'll read them all here. I'm going to go back to a local hobby shop for that. Good job. What's this? I'm going to Japan in December. Nice. One of those people who brings back paints and glues, but that's a big bottle. But for getting, well, what you do is you buy a model kit and you put it inside the model kit. That's how you hide it. That's what I've seen people do. I have not been to Japan myself, unfortunately. I really want to go. That'd be nice. I need to win the lottery or go to Japan. So many models. Yeah. What you do is you buy them and you break down the boxes and you put them all in suitcases like that. You bring one suitcase empty and then you break down the boxes flat and then you put all the runners in flat. I'm speaking from other people's experience and how they do it. Oops, we already saw that comment. Sorry, guys. Let's go to the next one. Prices in Japan are incredible compared to what? Yeah, well, we have to pay for shipping and all that other stuff. So they gotta make their money over in Japan too. Dude, I kid you not, I bought so many models, lots of tools. I think I opened my own little hobby shop. Well, yeah, you could do that. Lack of fitment as Hasegawa is rare. Yeah, there was no fitment issue. I just was struggling with tiny parts. Yeah, definitely not a fitment issue. And then Nick said, "Take off." He's lit. He's legging it. Looks amazing. I'll get up closer here in just a second for the last couple of minutes. As soon as I get through all the comments, I apologize. I think Mike and I have a bit of a bromance. Oh yeah. Yeah, you might be right about that. Okay, so now that we got a decent long away view here, let's go to the close up, and I can take the turret off here so you can see the figures because this was pretty much the last thing I finished, along with the like the shell casing. So here we've got the commander in the seat. We got this guy sitting in the back here. So I think the figures came out really well. I like that shading medium that it's like a shading effects fluid that Citadel makes that worked really well on the uniforms. It just kind of settles in. It's almost like a nice panel lining accent color, but it's a little bit thinner. This guy's on what you might have noticed on the commander here. Actually, let me pull it back up. There was a piece of photo etch that I had to glue on there. If you look at his face, there's a little boom mic right there. That was a piece of photo etch that I had to put on there for their boom mics. Yeah, thanks, Nigel. So let me get this back on there. This last figure here is on like I put him on a long pin so I could stick it down into the foam and actually hold on here. So you can see his face. He also has a boom mic. You can see that hanging in front of his jaw there. There's a piece of photo etch. The sidearm. The walkies, little walkies on him. So that goes a little tiny hole here. He just goes in. I have to get him just right. Oh, there. Oh, darn it. Yeah, if he doesn't go in the right angle, it won't go all the way down. And now I'm having trouble. I think I missed. There it goes. I had to reposition the hole because it was in the right angle. So now we get to the Zakugan. I'm going to take the tank off just so I can lift this up and get a closer view of the Zaku head and those. So you see there's some shell casings spread throughout. And then we got this guy here. I'm going to angle him. Actually, you can turn him to right about there. Nice phasing. That's a nice part about having that pin in one foot is I can position him any way I need to. So now we got a good view of the damage. Can I show the Citadel wash for the figures? Sure, absolutely, Julius. One sec, I'll grab that. There's a flesh shade as well. I used a flesh shade for their skin, like the shading on their skin. It's a little bit not quite as brown, like a dark brown. The other one was called Earth Shade, and I'm sure it's for, you know, they would have you use it. Citadel would have you using it for some other use of Warhammer. They wouldn't use it for clothing necessarily, but I find it works really well for shading, and I will definitely pull those up. So this, yeah, will sit. Actually, I'll just do it this way so I can just lift the tank back up, put it straight on there. So I also added some more dust. Nigel and I were talking about the amount of dust on the tracks, making it fit in a little bit more to the environment. So did that. Now we can see the whole thing better. I just go back to this look here. We're running over a little bit, but let me grab those two, at least the two that I have. Let's see. There's one, and oh, where's the other one? Where did it go? There it is. Okay. So there's probably quite a few of these available from Citadel. These are only two that I have. So this is the Agrex Earthshade, and this is what I used on their uniforms. And it's really thin. When you open the bottle, it kind of pools in that little scoop they have in there. Makes a nice little place to dip a brush rather than going in. But the skin, I used this one. This is the Reichland Flesh Shade, and that was for their skin tones. Now, like I said, there's probably another flesh shade, or probably even other shadings available. Those are just the two that I have. So hopefully that helps. And if you're interested in it, you can find it, look it up. One more time, so you can screenshot these if you want. Let's see, I'll give them both. There we go, get the angle right. So you guys can screenshot that if you need to, and look them up, see if you can find it in a set or something like that. Give us a workshop tour sometimes. Oh, sure. Yeah, I can do that too. I did a little bit earlier with the showing off the those cases behind me. All you know, the lack of storage that I have for this thing. I'll figure something out. I'll probably put, like I said, I'll probably put it on top, right next to that Valkyrie that's next to me back there, or behind me, the 120 scale. So anyway, we're running over here a little bit. So I'm going to say thank you everybody for joining in tonight. All you guys that hung out in the chat. I'll try to get everybody in here real quick. Let's see what we got. We got Fuzzy was in first, saying he may not make it, but he did. Julius came in shortly thereafter. Nick. After that, Giovanni. Then we had Old School pop in. Good old George. Dwayne, thanks for coming in. Ultraman as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I think that was it for the chat. I don't think we had any new ones. Doesn't look like it. If I missed one, please accept my apology. I try to keep an eye on all of the questions and stuff like that, so I can try to answer them all. But anyway, you're welcome. You're welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. You guys mean a lot to me. I appreciate each and every one of you. I love all you guys. So please tell your friends. Smash that like button. Subscribe. Doesn't cost you a thing. Helps me out. That's all. Try to get those numbers up. I'm trying to hit 500. We're working on it. Almost there. Actually, got a ways to go, but it's all cool. So yeah, we will see you next time. We'll be starting part 2 or maybe I should start it as part 1.5, because we did kind of start the Valkyrie tonight, but this was mostly finishing up the tank build. So yeah, we'll next week will be all Valkyrie all day long. So anyway, talk to you guys soon. Peace out, everybody.